All right, in this project, in assignment number 8, programming any formula in Scratch, we're going to create a temperature converter to show you that you can pretty much program any formula in science. You can program a small app to do the math for you. Now, I've already got a couple of things set up. I've already made a variable called Celsius. I've already made a variable called Fahrenheit. Now, if you just want to name these F and C, you're welcome to do that. But it's really best in programming to kind of use names that, if you see this, you know it's Celsius. Obviously, we're working with Celsius to Fahrenheit, so we now know that the C is Celsius and the F is Fahrenheit. But if you saw this in the future, you might forget. So it's always best practice to name your variables to reflect what they are. Now, I grabbed an image from the internet that has the formulas on it, just so we can show you how they work. And I've created, again, the two variables are right here. I've created a Fahrenheit to Celsius sprite. Under costumes, I just created a new sprite under the paintbrush. Made this one a box and put the text in, and I just used spaces to center everything up so that it looks kind of neat. There we go. Put it back. Same for this one. I just picked a different color, and then there's this sprite just so I have the formulas. The only thing I want you to have, if you want to put this one up there or the formulas up there, that's fine. But as long as yours you create the buttons that go back and forth, you will be fine. All right, I have named it temperature converter. You can name it pretty much whatever you want, but it's technically a temperature converter, so that's why I named it that. So we're going to go from Celsius first. We're just going to do them in order. From Celsius to Fahrenheit. So when I click on this icon, I want this little piece of code to run. So when this sprite is clicked, so this is, again, a sprite, I want to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So we're working on this one right here. So the first thing I need to do is ask a user, I need to ask the user for the temperature in Celsius. Again, I can't spell very well. Can't type very well either, apparently. And I want to store that in the Celsius variable. So I'm going to set Celsius to whatever answer they give me. That's what's stored here. So when the user answers this question, the amount goes into this variable, and then this block here takes whatever amount's in there and sets the Celsius variable to that. And then we should see that here. So let's test it. So if I click on this, it's going to say, what is the temperature Celsius? I'm going to say 20 degrees, and it's going to store that in there. And that seems to work, so now we can go to the next part. So we're going to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So we're going to set the Fahrenheit to something. Now, if you look at the math they have here, they've got an example of 35. They don't really finish the math, so don't just ignore the 35. That should be a C. So they're multiplying 9 over 5 times C. So the first thing they're doing is dividing 9 over 5. So let's pull that out and do that. Then the next thing they're doing is they're multiplying that by whatever the Celsius is. So let's grab a multiplication. We're going to stick this in one side, and then we're going to find the variable for Celsius, and we're going to stick that in the other side. So notice that the 9 over 5, the 9 divided by 5 is its own little block. So it's going to do that first, and then it's going to expand out. Whatever the answer to that is, it's going to multiply by Celsius, and then whatever the answer to that is, we want to add 32. All right, so order of operations, you want to do whatever's in these parentheses first, and then in this block or parentheses, and then finally the last thing, and we want to store that in Fahrenheit. So it should look just like that. So let's try it. So I know that 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point of water, and that should convert to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and it does. So water boils at sea level at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius. Now, do you know the freezing point of water? So water freezes at 0 Celsius and at 32 Fahrenheit. So those are two that we know and we can check. So those two are working, so our math is probably good. All right, so now let's do the other side. So we're gonna do pretty much the same thing here, only we're gonna do it on this side, and we're gonna convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So when I click that block, so when that sprite is clicked, I want to ask, what's the temperature in Fahrenheit? And go ahead and pull that over because we need it. So what is the temp in Fahrenheit? And I'm going to store that in the Fahrenheit variable. So just click that. And then what that's going to do is when I click this button, it's going to ask me what's the temp. If I say 99, it's going to store that in the Fahrenheit variable. Now I want to do the math. So if I look up here, look at the order of operations. So we're going to set Celsius to whatever this math is here. Notice that they're doing the F minus 32 first. So we need to go to our operators. We're going to do the subtraction first. So we're going to do the Fahrenheit minus 32 first. Then we're going to do the division, or the fraction. We're going to put the fraction on the outside. So 5/9. And then we're going to multiply those two things by each other. So again, 5/9, its own little thing. And then inside the parentheses, so inside this block here, we have Fahrenheit minus 32. All right, so Fahrenheit, what is the temp of Fahrenheit? 212, 100 degrees Celsius. So that one's working. 212 degrees Fahrenheit is the boiling point of water. 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point of water. Now let's try the freezing point of water. So Fahrenheit, water freezes at 32. And for Celsius, it's 0. So that seems to be working perfectly. And that's all there is to it. Now you have an app you can convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. It should work for any temperature. And now you know how to program pretty much any formula. So this right here, well, more technically, this right here is right there. So all you have to do is follow the order of operations, and you can do pretty much any formula. All right, so to submit that, hit share. Make sure that you do that, or make sure it says congratulations on sharing so other people can try it out. That means I'll be able to see it. So then you want to copy the link and paste that into Canvas.